All right, folks. So we covered some of the device management functionality that Footprint's BMC Client Management has. Now, one of the things that we're going to go over pretty quick is the modules that asset that BMC Client Management has that will allow you to perform some other functionality in the product as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, there is a topology, and the topology is basically built based on the type of client that you have. You have, again, your relay, your master, and then you have your different clients. The agent is needed for some of the other functions that you're gonna be doing when using client management. The only functionality that you're not gonna need an agent for is going to be for a machine that you're doing OS deployment to. Okay, but any device on the network can be an OS deployment manager. We'll go over that in a few minutes. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to first, and one of the modules that get used the most by client management, is the patch management module, which is this particular fellow right here. Okay, patch management allows you to deploy patches to your devices. Patch management only works with Windows-based PCs as well as OS X devices. That was one of the features that was added in the later versions of Client Management / Footprint's Asset Core. It was the ability for you to be able to deploy patches to your Mac OS X devices. At the present time, there's no patching available for Linux devices yet. It is my understanding that it is something being worked on, but there's no ETA on when that's going to happen. So a little overview on the patch management. You have your patch manager, which in this particular case is Optimus Prime, our master server. But again, any device on the network can be a patch manager. So here is the patch manager is basically what receives the database for all the patches that are currently missing for software. Now, when it comes to patch manager, keep in mind that patch manager does not only patch operating system flaws. It can also patch Java. It can patch Flash. You can patch even programs like 7-Zip, for example. And some other products that are available, it can patch browsers like Google, Firefox, and I believe it also patches Opera browsers if you have that available as well. So that's what the patch management does. The manager itself receives a database from Landesk. Now, remember, back in the day, the engine for the patches was received by Shavlik, but Shavlik was sold to VMware. VMware then proceeded to sell part of Shavlik, which included the patching portions. They sold it to Landesk. So the engine part of the patches is received by Landesk itself. As far as how the system deals with the bulletins, it depends on the results of the scans from the devices as far as how many patches are missing and the database that you see here. So it's really important to keep this database up to date, and you have some options available that allows you to automatically enable this checkup so that the system can go in there and perform the updates as needed. Obviously, since this machine has been off, no updates have been done since June the 3rd. But if I were to check for an update, chances are that we will receive probably some new information from Landesk when it comes to patching. So if we go into the patch detection part, this is where you will see the devices and when the last scan was done. So we can see here that we have performed a scan recently of some of these devices. You can configure it so that when the devices are turning on, it'll go ahead and start scanning these devices for any missing patches. Most of these devices, as you can see here, they're already patched, but this particular one here, which is a virtual device that I added Windows 7 for, has 47 missing patches. So if we expand the device, you will notice there's they will give you a listing of possible missing patches, which is our missing patches over here. Actually, the number went up to 253, and these are all the patches that this device is missing. You have the ability to be able to control which patches you want to put out. So if there are any patches that are that you think that are going to be detrimental in your environment, and if the patches is shown here, you can actually right-click and hide the bulletin. This is not only going to hide it for this particular device, it'll hide it for any device that you have out there that is missing the same patch. If you hide the bulletin, it'll ask you to put in a remark. You can put in patch not compatible with environment, and then you click OK, and then it'll hide that patch for you. If you want to see a list of your hidden bulletins, you will go under to the patch manager, and there is a section here for hidden bulletins. And if we go ahead and click on find, let me see. This will show you all the bulletins that you have hidden. This is the one that we hit just moments ago, and it says, with the notes, patch not compatible with environment. It gives you that flexibility. So you don't have to depend on Windows Update, for example, to do the patches. You can do all the patching using BMC Client Management. And finally, you can also set up a regular patch deployment, which will send the patches out to devices depending on the schedule that you set up immediately, or you can set up patch jobs, which allows you to automate the patching of the software. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and run a quick wizard here so that you can see quick wizard. And if we do next, you can set up with the patch job, you can set up what you want to deploy. If you don't think there's going to be any patches that will be detrimental for your environment, you can actually say, I want to patch all critical patches, security, non-security patches, and security tools. And then you can say for which particular product, and then you can choose the product that you want. So let's say, for example, I want to set up a patch. I want to set up a patch job that for any critical patches that come up in the scans, I want to patch all Windows 7 critical patches. Once you do this, you can set up a schedule. You can set it to run at night or at any time that you wish to do so. And you can even set the system to send up a magic packet to wake up devices. So if all of your devices on your network are configured to receive wake on LAN magic packets, you should be able to wake them up using client management when deploying the patches. And then you can even set it so that any patches can be downloaded prior to the start time. You can do this monthly. You can do this daily, and you can do it weekly on a specific number of days. So if you want to do it weekly on Wednesdays, you can. If you want to do it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can. If you want to do it over the weekends, just simply select the days that you want, and it will allow you. It will basically go ahead and automatically deploy those patches. If you want to send patches immediately, the best option to do so is to do a patch deployment, in which you can choose the patches that you want to do, and then assign the devices that you wish to patch at that point. Okay. The second most used feature in client management is software deployment. Now, software deployment, what it is it's basically the ability to be able to send an installer over to a device. It can be something as simple as installing Firefox, installing Java, installing Flash, or something like that, to something a little bit more complex, like an Office installation. You can configure a package for devices that will be sent over to devices that have the client, and then the client will take care of running those packages for you. Okay. The other feature, before I jump into any other features, there are three types of packages that you can actually build. There's an MSI package, which basically allows you to deploy MSI files. If you have a specific MSI file that you wish to deploy, this would be the method to do so. One of the things about MSI packages, for example, is MSI files. Let me see if I have a temp file here that I can use. Probably don't, but the MSI files, what it allows you to do is it allows you to configure the MSI options in a graphical interface. So, for example, let me go ahead and create a mock MSI file here so that you guys can see it pretty quick. And open that up. And use temp. MSI. Okay, if we go to MSI packages, add a package. I'll actually go ahead and use the wizard. The wizards here in client management are very good, and it gives you a step-by-step walkthrough on how to build MSI packages or custom packages, how to set up patches, configure administrators, etc. So if there's something that you wish to do and you want to have the step-by-step, the client management wizards are some of the best ones out there. So if we do MSI package, go ahead and select the file. Hopefully it'll let me get away with that. I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, the archive type, we'll leave it as zip. And yeah, it's going to give me a package not created. But one of the things that you can do, for example, let me see if I can show you here pretty quick. Yeah, it's not going to let me do so. But one of the things that you can do when it comes to MSI packages is that, again, it allows you to configure the MSI options in real time. So if you don't want the MSI to be showing when you're running, when it's running on the remote devices, you can configure it there. If you want to set up additional criteria like transform files and whatnot, you can also configure it from the wizard. Another type of package that you can actually use is the custom package. Now, the custom package is a little bit more flexible because it allows you to configure the command that you want to run. So the custom packages are good for batch files and executable files. So if, let's say, you want to drop the package on the C temp folder, and then the run command, we do ctemp firefox.exe. If I can type that right. What will happen is that when the package gets extracted, it's going to get extracted on the temp folder, and then the run command that it's going to use is, in this case, is going to be firefox.exe. Obviously, after that, you set up the contents of the package, and in here, you will basically add the file and then browse for your executables. Again, do remember that when it comes to single files, all you have to do is just select that one single file, and then you should be all set. When it comes to larger programs, larger installers that you wish to deploy down, you have to make sure that you include all of the necessary files that you're going to need in the package in order for it to be sent down to the computer and then installed from that particular location. Finally, the other type of package that you use will be a snapshot package. Now, this one is CPU intensive. We're not going to do any demos here for time constraints. But basically, what a snapshot package is if you have a device and you make you take a snapshot you take a snapshot or a picture of the device prior to the change. Okay, the system will record that saying this is the machine prior to the change. Once you do that, then you start making all the necessary changes that you want to do to the machine, okay? And then you take another snapshot of the changes that you made to the machine or the after. So you take a snapshot before, then you take a snapshot after the changes. The system will make a comparison of all of the changes that you made from the before and afters, and then based on those changes, it'll build out a package that you can deploy to all the devices, and it'll apply those same changes to your other devices as well. So that's a little bit of an overview on package deployment. OS deployment, again, for time constraints, we'll not be able to go over in detail, but OS deployments allows you to build a WIM package with Windows AIK. You will have a machine that will have Windows AIK installed, and Footprint and BMC Client Management will be able to interface with Windows AIK so that you can build Pixie, Snapshot packages. Sorry, I got a little bit of a brain fart there. You can do OS deployment using setup mode. You can do WIM image mode. You can also do WIM image captures as well. So you can do a sysprep capture. You can do a regular WIM image capture using the functionality under the OS deployment. Okay. This only works again with Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 2008, and Windows 2012 devices at the present time. Another functionality that the system has is operational rules. Operational rules covers a lot within the program. In fact, when we talk about power management, okay, a lot of the power management functionality is actually within the operational rules. So for example, if we create a quick operational rule, and we'll go ahead and call that test again. If we go under test and we take a look at the steps so that you can see some of the steps, you can see all of the available steps within this folder per category. One of the items that you will see is power management. Now, notice there's no module for power management. Power management, it's all done using operational rules. But as you can see with power management, you can create or modify an advanced power plan. You can do global power policies. You can do a regular power plan. You can define a power plan, delete a power plan. You can set the machines to hibernate. You can set the machines to suspend, and you can also do a power management inventory as needed. Okay, let's take a look at one of the power plans here pretty quick. And this is just an example of the advanced power plan. You can control pretty much everything that you see here from an operational rule. This is all the advanced power plan. So if you need to make sure that it is at a specific level, or if there's some particular actions that you want to do, this is one of the ways that you can actually do it. The regular power plan, it's a little bit more basic. You can turn the monitor off, turn the hard drive off. You can set the system to suspend, to hibernate, turn turn the monitor off DC, or you can also do DC management as well. AC and DC management of current. You can also set the machine to hibernate. So if all you want to do is set the machine to hibernate, you can just simply add this particular step, make sure that it's forced, and it'll go ahead and perform a hibernation. If you want to suspend the device, same way. Force means that if there's activity on the device, it'll force it. So if somebody's working and doing something, and if you want to suspend the device, it'll immediately suspend the moment that you assign that operational rule. So just a couple of examples on what you can do with operational rules. As you notice also with operational rules, some of the other modules will be here as well. Like for example, if you want to scan a device using an operational rule, you will use this particular step here. If you need to uninstall a patch, and if the patch is uninstallable, you can actually set up an operational rule to send it to the devices to uninstall a patch. You can also do a purge of the patch inventory, which what it is the patch inventory is basically what tells you, what patches are missing, what patches are installed, so on and so forth. And with an operational rule is how you would also deploy patches to a Mac OS. The reason for that is because Asset Core interfaces with a program within the Mac device that basically starts the patching for you there. So that's how the system interfaces with a Mac device. Inventory management, like if you want to clean the custom inventory, if you want to do any updates or uploads, all of those you would do with an operational rule. And these are all steps. So you can mix and match steps. Like if you need to do an inventory of hardware followed by inventory of software, followed by a suspend, or if you need to wake up a device first, you can add that as a step as well. By using any of the tools. You can do wake on LAN. So if you need to wake up the device, do an inventory, and then put it to hibernate again, those are steps that you can do with operational rules. The combinations that you can do with these, it's pretty much endless. And you can also do Boolean type of operational rules, like if this machine has this file, then go ahead and skip the step, or if the machine is missing this file, or if the machine is missing this program, then go ahead and install it, so on and so forth. Okay. Another item that is used a lot with client management is application management. Now, with application management, you can do a lot of things, like for example, license management, which allows you to track your licenses installed via the console. You can configure your licenses here. You can basically tell the system what you're licensed for. This is just an example of tracking of licenses using Microsoft Office, for example, and we have Office 365 being tracked. So when you go under your assign objects and you assign the groups that you wish to track, it'll basically tell you that the devices are compliant because I have unauthorized these devices because I don't have it installed. So that makes it compliance. This particular device here, which is one of my desktop devices, does have the program installed. Therefore, it's authorized because it's installed, and the compliance is set to green. If, let's say, for example, I could change the status, and it'll evaluate it, and then it'll tell you immediately that the atom is not installed, and therefore change the compliance status there. Same go for more than likely a lot of these devices. If I change the status to authorized, they're going to say that they're not installed, which in turn say, it's compliant because, okay, the machine is authorized, but it's not installed. If I were to go ahead and install the software, then at that point, it will become compliant. The status of install will change to yes. And when we go to our little dashboard here, all of these items will change. Okay. So that's one of the items or functions that you can use with client management. Another one is application monitoring. Now there's three types of application monitoring. Application monitoring, you can do either a prohibited application. Okay, basically what this is if, let's say, for example, you don't want people playing games on your organization and start installing Solitaire on the devices. You can set up Solitaire to be a prohibited application. What's going to happen is that they will be able to install it, but the moment that they initiate the program, after 10 seconds, the agent is going to see the agent will see that the item has started, and it'll automatically close it and display a message indicating that this is a prohibited application and it has been closed. So that's one of the features that you can do. Monitor applications, basically it is again, with the example of Solitaire, let's say that you have a lot of people out there that have that are installing executables or that are installing I shouldn't say executables, excuse me. I should say more like, Solitaire or, or Farmville or anything like that. If you know the executable for these programs, you can set it up as a thing to look for, and you can monitor who has been running these programs. Monitoring applications doesn't have to be for programs that you don't want running on your network. It can be, for example, for programs that you recently deployed to your network that you want your people to use. And if let's say, for example, you want to see if people are actually using the program, you can do monitor applications for that, and then you can build out a report on it, saying, okay, we had 10 people using the program in the month of April. Then this jumped to 100 people in the month of May. Now in the month of June, we have 200 people using the program. So monitor application can be used for that particular purposes. And then protected applications, what that is that it protects the application from people making changes to it. So if, let's say, for example, you have this particular program, and if people start doing any changes to it, any updates or anything that program should not be touched, that program should not be changed. Okay, with protected application, you can basically tell the system that if any changes gets made, it'll revert it back to the way that it was before. Okay, so if there's a particular application that needs to be protected, this will be the way to do it. Nobody will be able to make the change, or if they are able to make the change, then the system will revert it back to the way it was. Okay, so that's the part of application management. And finally, compliance management, which there's two types of compliance. You can do custom compliance, and you can do SCAP compliance. Custom compliance, basically what it is just your standard run-of-the-mill when it comes to making sure that your machines, are in compliance within the network. You can do patch management compliance. You can do system security compliance as far as recommended workstation settings. You can do, for example, recommended power settings, Internet Explorer compliancy. You can also do when it comes to patch management, making sure that no critical patches are missing. These are some of the out-of-the-box compliance options that are available to you. Now, you can also do compliancy on, for example, antiviruses. Like if you want to make sure that your antivirus is up to date, you can basically go over and say, hey, I want to make sure that all of my antivirus options are configured correctly, and you can actually do this from the security product management. So that's one of the examples that you can do when it comes to making sure that all of your machines on your network are compliant based on that criteria. Okay. The other type of compliancy within compliance management is the SCAP compliance. Now, what that is SCAP compliance is useful for the government and the federal sector. SCAP is a feature provided by the NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and basically it's a list of things that would allow you to keep your items a little bit more secured. So, for example, I'm going to go ahead and show you here some packages that I downloaded for SCAP compliance for Windows 2012. So this is basically the criteria for the compliancy. Based on this criteria, when you assign these to a particular SCAP job, okay, and then you select the device that you want to scan, what's going to happen is this. So this is my domain controller, okay, and notice how the compliance status is not compliant. It failed. It's only compliant 34.12%. It gives you the past rules and it gives you the failed rules. Now, if we go here, these are the rules that you will get based on the package that you download from either the NIST, or you can download these from any website that will have an SCAP or an SCAP package. By the way, for those that do not know, SCAP stands for the Security Content Automation Protocol. Okay, and these are the packages. This is the information that is contained in the package. So if you want to make the machine compliant based on the package that you downloaded, you will basically download the package, assign the device to it using a job, and then once the job finished running, it'll tell you, okay, this particular rule passed, but this particular rule failed, so on and so forth. Then at that point, you can go over the list of the items that failed, okay, and then make the appropriate action to make sure that the machine is actually compliant. So that's basically what the SCAP compliance allows you to do, and compliance is actually a very, very useful function because based on the criteria that you set in your organization, it allows you to keep better track of what's kosher out there and basically, what's missing as far as, patches or antivirus updates, so on and so forth. Finally, some of the other features in the product are basically a little bit more clerical, like running queries. The system has the capability to run some out-of-the-box queries based on the particular module that you want to run it from. So, for example, let's say if we do patch inventory, you can do queries showing you devices that are affected by critical patches, high or critical, affected by any patch, and any devices that have applied patches. You can also do, for example, operating systems, like which devices are 32-bit, which devices are 64-bit Windows systems, 2003, 2008, so on and so forth. With these particular queries, you can actually build device groups for management purposes. So, for example, if we create a device group, for now, let's just go ahead and call this Windows 2012 devices. Okay, and if we go to dynamic population, if we go to queries, assign a query, we're going to go to one of our out-of-the-box ones, operating system Windows, and then we're going to do Windows 2012 devices, and we're going to do Windows 2012 R2 devices. So we're going to do this for all devices. We're going to change the query operator to do or, so that it'll be either Windows 2012 devices or Windows 2012 R2 devices. And if we go back here and then refresh, these are all my Windows 2012 or 2012 R2 devices. I think most of these are R2. Yeah, all of these guys are R2. But just a general idea on how queries work. Queries can also work for reports. So if, let's say, for example, you want to build out a report in which you wanna find, we're gonna do with the same example, Windows 2012 report. It's a quick style-based report so you guys can have an idea. And if we double click on the report, go to the sub-reports and go ahead and select the query. So we know it's devices with Windows 2012 R2 devices, and then the columns that I want to see, for example, let's go by, where's device name, or name, I should say. Okay, so that's device name. Let's do operating system name. Let's also go ahead and do, I guess we can do IP address. And just as an example, and then click OK. When we do a quick preview, it's fine. It's just a preview of the report, but you get the idea. You will see, based on the query, it pulls up the device name, pulls up the operating system name, and the IP address. Obviously, based on the columns that you select in the sub-report, you can set any column that you want, and it'll provide you with the information that you need. Additionally, there's some other canned reports that come with the system that allows you to do anything that you need to do. Like, for example, we got, again, with the SCAP, you can build a report based on that SCAP rule that you ran earlier, so that you can see the rule summary and the device summary as well. So if we do, I don't know if I can do a preview on this one. Probably not. So that's probably going to it's going to take a little bit for it to generate, but just so you can have an idea. Same goes with power management. You can do monthly activities with power management. You can do financial asset management that will show you, for example, which are your leased assets, which devices are expiring their useful life, which devices are by the end of their useful life, asset support and phone numbers, etc., etc. And so just some pretty powerful tools that will allow you to kind of like get an idea of what's going on in your environment once you get this particular program running. And I think I cover as best as I could with the features and functionality of asset management with BMC Client Management. I really thank you for your time, and hopefully you will enjoy this particular presentation.